One of the great things about the college is we are part of a university which has many parts, and one of those important parts is a sister undergraduate institution, the Fu Foundation School of Engineering and Applied Science. And it is my pleasure to introduce the Dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Science, Professor Donald Goldfarb, who is the Alexander and Hermine Avanesians Professor of Industrial Engineering and Operations Research. Dean Goldfarb has been at Columbia for 30 years, since 1982. His specialty in research is developing algorithms, which means ways of analyzing data, in things like image processing, which are just words, unless you happen to be a person who's getting a CT or an MRI, because Dean Goldfarb's work has allowed us to produce good images in shorter exposure times, which makes your life and those of your physicians much easier. Dean Goldfarb earned his Bachelor of Chemical Engineering degree from Cornell, his master's and PhD degrees from Princeton. He has been honored by the Society of Columbia Graduates with its Great Teachers Award, an accolade based on the enthusiastic recommendation of undergraduate students. It is my pleasure to introduce Dean Goldfarb.
Thank you, Jim. President Bollinger, Executive Vice President Dirks, Dean Schollenberger, College Alumni Association President Barry, New Student Orientation Program Coordinator Sadler, members of the Columbia University faculty, parents, and students. It is my great pleasure to be here today with the faculty to welcome you, students, and your families to this convocation ceremony. You have arrived at Columbia at a pivotal moment in Columbia Engineering School's history. It is pivotal, at least in my view, for three reasons. First, we've experienced almost 150 years of incredible history. The school was founded in 1864, and in fact, next year will be the 150th anniversary, which should be a very exciting time for all of engineering to celebrate. Second, we have seen in the past decades how engineering and applied science disciplines have become central to the functioning of modern society to a degree never dreamed of by our school's founders. Today, you can carry technology in your pocket or in your hand that at one time could hardly be contained in a large number of rooms. Even when I was a graduate student at Princeton, we had a computer that cost several $1 million that only had storage for 128,000 bytes. Now, that would hardly store a picture on your iPhone. So you can imagine how things have changed and how rapidly they've changed. Whether you are students in the college or in the engineering school, you have a great facility with technology. And you all appreciate, more than any other time in history, engineering is the driving force behind both the progress of nations and of individuals. Evidence of this importance can be clearly seen even within the academic community. For example, during the past 5 years, 3 Ivy League institutions, Harvard, Brown, and Yale, have established engineering schools. It's about time. Now, all of the Ivies have engineering schools. Other universities that have long established engineering schools have been expanding them dramatically. Columbia, of course, is ahead of the game. It was one of the first such schools, and as I just mentioned, has been around almost 150 years. Third reason that this is such an exciting time and pivotal time for the school's history is that we have just launched a new Institute for Data Sciences Engineering. We're creating new ways to harness the massive amounts of data that our new technologies are generating. And if some of you may have read about this in the Times or other news organizations, when recently the mayor of the city awarded us a modest amount of money to help start this institute. If you follow Facebook and you are aware of the recent IPO, Facebook disclosed that it stores over 100 petabytes, that is 100 billion million or 100 million billion bytes of photos and videos uploaded by its users. If you were interested in the recent development about the elusive Higgs boson, you may have read that the scientists who were able to identify it stored 200 petabytes of data that were collected from 800 trillion collisions in the Large Hadron Collider. So these are just two examples of the massive amounts of data that exist around us. And to accommodate these data storage needs, we're dealing with even larger amounts, amounts that include things like exabytes of information. That's a billion bytes. In short, because of this immense amount of data, our new institute will give the opportunity to undergraduates at Columbia, both engineering and non-engineering, to be part of research teams that will develop tools and approaches for mining that data in areas such as smart cities, new media, health analytics, financial analytics, and cybersecurity. In some ways, the engineering school has come full circle. From educating students who mine precious metals from the earth to those who mine precious information from data. You will be among the first to benefit from a new minor in data sciences and innovation that will immerse you in the opportunities and challenges of big data. As members of the engineering class of 2016, you are among the most intellectually gifted young people in the world. And you will be educated by a faculty who themselves were the very best and brightest in their generation. You will receive an education in engineering and applied science that is as strong as any place in this world and will be involved in the front lines of trailblazing research. And you will have the added advantage of the intellectual perspective provided by Columbia's core curriculum as you explore great literature, music, art, and culture. Let me encourage you that, especially those of you who are in engineering, and to embark on your studies in engineering, don't limit yourself just to engineering studies or mathematics or physics or chemistry, but go beyond the core curriculum. Take more courses in the arts and sciences. You will not regret it. Columbia's mission has always been to educate the whole person, and we pride ourselves on providing the quintessential education for the 21st century. In particular, society will need engineers and applied scientists to analyze problems, to use critical thinking, to use analytical reasoning, and problem-solving skills to find solutions, all of which are hallmarks of the Columbia engineering education. You have before you 4 wonderful years, new intellectual adventures. The education you receive here will prepare you for lifelong learning as an individual who has boundless curiosity and who thinks about how to make things better and who thinks about the future. Because in the words of a famous philosopher from New York, Yogi Berra, famous Yankee, he said, "The future ain't what it used to be." I wish you the best as you begin your first years here as the newest members of our academic family. Welcome to Columbia, and welcome to Columbia Engineering, class of 2016. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce Nicholas Dirks, Executive Vice President and Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences, and Franz Boas, Professor of Anthropology and Professor of History. As Dean of the Faculty, Professor Dirks is responsible for the academic administration and direction of the largest unit of the university, which includes 29 academic departments. Thank heavens I don't have to administer that. We only have 9 departments in engineering. 29 academic departments that include humanities, social sciences, and natural sciences. 27 institutes and centers, and 5 schools, including Columbia College. He's an interdisciplinary scholar whose works include books on the history of India and more than 40 published articles on subjects ranging from history and anthropology of South Asia to social and cultural theory, the history of imperialism, historiography, cultural studies, and globalization. Professor Dirks.
It is my very great pleasure to join President Bollinger and my distinguished colleagues on stage to join in welcoming you to the class of 2016 to Columbia University. You are entering 2 undergraduate schools that reflect a long and distinguished history of commitment to the liberal arts and sciences, at the center of which, of course, is Columbia's famed core curriculum. Fashioned in the aftermath of the First World War, when Europe and the United States were reeling from a catastrophic clash within Western civilization, the curriculum has steadily evolved, becoming both more global and more scientific, even as it holds steadfast to its foundational principles of general education. At Columbia, we espouse the liberal ideal that has characterized American higher education at its best, from its origins in religious and moral instruction to its emergence as a great